least, rounding us out for our doctoral capstone presentations is Renee. The title of her project is Supporting Rehabilitation Services Through Clinical and Educational Resources. Woo!
Hi everyone, my name is Renee, and I had the opportunity to do my capstone project with Back to You Rehab. Back to You Rehab is a primarily outpatient ortho clinic that has about 5 locations between Michigan and Florida. And my original capstone focus was on home health care, and I really wanted to focus that home health would be very occupation focused, very occupation based, and not very biomechanical. And Back to You actually offers home health services and home modifications. So after collaborating with them and meeting with them and kind of seeing what their needs were, what I was really interested in, we kind of came up with a plan of things that I was going to work on in these past 14 weeks. So one of the first things that I realized, and what Back to You realized that we needed to work on, was coming up with a deliverable that kind of encompassed everything Back to You offers. So Back to You is like a one-stop shop. They have a little bit of everything and all in one place. So they offer PT, OT, speech, home health, functional capacity exams, work hard need programs, non-emergency medical transportation, chiropractic care, massage therapy, a little bit of everything and all in a bunch of different places. And they were realizing that they were kind of struggling with kind of explaining to people what they offered because a lot of people didn't really know. And specifically the people they were talking about were people that referred to them. So that would be people like lawyers, case managers, and even physicians. So this first deliverable I put together that's getting passed around was kind of an educational resource that encompassed everything they offered. And I had the opportunity to collaborate with a bunch of different lawyers, actually, and case managers to make sure that what I was writing in this document was actually understood by them. Because we have the tendencies as healthcare professionals to use a lot of medical jargon and maybe not super like client-centered care and words. So I was like, you know what, let me see what they think because this document is meant for them. So I collaborated with them, they offered me feedback, we worked together, we adjusted things a little bit, and we kind of put together this document. And it kind of showcases a little bit of everything. It explains what OT is, what speech is, what PT is, and all the other fun stuff. And it even had the opportunity to kind of describe that they offer home health services and what type of home health that they offer. It's very client focused and does all the exercise type of things, but also wants to focus on a client's environment, offer those home mods and all that fun stuff. So that was probably one of the fun things that I think I got to work on because I got to collaborate with a lot of professionals that I never thought I would collaborate with. Never thought I would talk to a lawyer for my occupational therapy capstone project or a physician or anything like that. So that was a lot of fun. Another thing that I had the opportunity to work on with that they also knew was a need was kind of creating level 1 and level 2 fieldwork objectives for their future students. So I worked directly with Emily, who's in OT, and she was my mentor. And she had occupational therapy students that she was going to get for level 1s and level 2s, and she needed kind of objectives to create for them so they understood kind of like what was happening and what to expect at their clinic. So I was able to kind of go in, do a lot of research of, okay, this is an outpatient clinic, but they also do some home health, they also do a little bit of this and that, and a student could have the opportunity to do all of it. What do they need to know? So I had the opportunity to create objectives, and then with each objective I created, I had the opportunity to match it with the exact ACOT standard that kind of aligned with that objective. So I grew a lot of appreciation for our faculty because they had to put together a whole program that went through all the ACOT standards, and I was stressed enough with just my fieldwork objectives. So that was a lot of fun, a very different perspective. My capstone kind of focused a lot more on like the administrative side of things than the direct patient care, direct care with clients. And originally I was a little bit skeptical if I would enjoy that or not, and I learned throughout this process that this was a very different thing for me to do compared to all my other student experiences, and I really appreciated that because I got to grow an appreciation for what the admin side of things looked like and what the systematic things looked like, because when you can make a change in the administration and the system, it enhances patient care overall. Another thing that I was able to work on with them was kind of updating their DME binder. So Emily created, who's the OT, a binder of a bunch of different DME equipments that they refer to patients regularly. So it could be anything from an orthotic from a long-handled reacher, which is dressing equipment, to home mods. And this binder kind of just has like a bunch of affordable options, because as we know, a lot of insurances don't cover these things. So if a patient had they had a need or needed something, or they asked about something, you could quickly search up in this binder, okay, I need a dressing stick. Find the link, send it to them, and send it on their way. And what was nice about this is that I grew an appreciation to understand how expensive some things are, and how when we refer things to clients, we need to understand that some people can't afford it, and that's okay. But I was able to find a lot of more affordable options, which was nice. Another thing I got to work on was a future recruitment document. So what this was basically what Back to Rehab is kind of looking for when it comes to future employment for people who are applying to jobs. And I got to really focus on the home health side of things, and also got to focus on the outpatient side of things, and kind of put like, this is what Back to You values, like whole-centered care, making sure a patient is really considered, and we're not just looking at their diagnosis, which can happen very often. Kind of looking like, okay, an OT should have these qualities, and even a PT should have these qualities, and a speech therapist should have these qualities. And I collaborated with those professionals to make sure, like, okay, does this make sense for what you do? Because respectfully, I might not know everything you do. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, so I think for that document specifically, I didn't get to like post or like do any job interviews or anything like that, but it was kind of for them to use for the future, for them to kind of look in when they want to hire future employers and whatever, and that really did help them, because when you find good, holistic, whole-centered therapists, that in turn provides very holistic care. So you don't have to change a therapist, you can already see what their qualities are, and they know the expectations. They wouldn't be shocked by them. And then one of the last things that I had the opportunity to work on was a home eval consent form. So Back to You clinicians, like their therapists, would go into clients' homes. They might do home modification recommendations or home care or anything like that. And they didn't have like a consent form that kind of showcased everything that they were gonna do. So I had the opportunity to kind of create almost like a legal document, like I collaborated with a few people on it, that kind of like shows and encompasses everything that a patient should know that is gonna happen at this visit. And it kind of like covers a therapist. So if a therapist goes in, they feel secure that they're okay, like if anything goes wrong. Same with Back to You, but also it's really beneficial to the patient because they know what to expect. They know they can terminate services at any time. They can deny whatever they want to deny, and they'll all be covered. So you might be wondering, oh, these things are just like things that anyone can do, right? Any administrative person can do these. You don't have to be an OT. Why did you do this, Renee? Why did you do this as your occupational therapy capstone? So I realized while like reflecting on these past 14 or so weeks that as an OT, sometimes we can shy away from administrative roles. We can shy away from leadership, and we can shy away from making a change or maybe even advocating for a change within a system or a business or a company or whatever it may be. But OTs are meant for roles like this too. We have the way to see a person and see everything about them. We can see that their illness is impacting their whole life, whether it's their transactional model, their mental health, they're taking care of a family member, whatever it may be. We can see that as a people. And when we can make administrative decisions, that will impact patient care. And I think that's what I learned the most throughout this experience. And I learned how to, this is gonna sound really silly, but to fake it till you make it. Because sometimes if you have confidence when you talk to professionals who might not be in the same care or same field as you, and you sound confident in what you're saying, they'll take you seriously. Because lawyers are probably one of the most intimidating people I've ever met in my whole life. But they took me very seriously because I came in knowing what I was talking about, and they in turn wanted to help. So thank you guys all so much for listening, and that's all that I got for you. Questions?
What's next for leadership and advocacy for you?
You know, I've been thinking about that a lot. I don't know right now, but I do like have a few job offers where like this could be a potential, so I might be keeping those in mind. But I really did find it surprisingly enjoyable. And I love direct patient care, but I also love this. So a balance of both is kind of what I'm looking for moving on.
Well, I would love to see you run for an office in Myota.
I'll keep that in mind for sure. Dr. Renee.
what was a systematic barrier that you came across that was maybe a bit frustrating, we've all dealt with those, or unexpected that you feel well equipped to tackle in the future?
Yeah. So I was really lucky because I had a great team to work with. So each of my deliverables, I collaborated with Emily, who is my direct mentor, but I also collaborated with Dr. John Putnam, who is the physical therapist and the owner, Jennifer Amori, who is the person who's in charge of administration and management, and then Jake, who's in charge of their DME and transportation. So what I found is that I would have to meet with them for each specific deliverable to make sure that what I'm talking about is exactly what they're looking for. Because this was a lot about what I can do, but also how can I benefit them and how can I benefit their patients. So sometimes what I would find is that I'd get lost in the sauce a little bit. I would have to talk to so many different people, and I'd have to wait for so many different replies that it kind of made it hard to make some of those changes right away. But eventually I learned that be persistent, people end up getting back to you, and you're able to kind of collaborate and make those changes. I wouldn't say anything in my process was really frustrating, honestly. I was really blessed that I had a great team to work with, and they were more excited than I was, and I was super excited to work with them. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that answered your question.
All right, lovely job.